Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Breath of Fire 2. Last episode, we deposed of the imposter at SimaFort, got Jean's kingdom back, and... Anyways, we are here with the thief girl in tow. We're gonna drop her off at Trout, and we're gonna clear Bosch's name. Joining us to see that happen is Skyzo. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Hello, YouTube.
Anyways, here's Trout's mansion, and Patty is in our party right now. Actually, did we introduce her name yet?
I don't think so.
Oof, more swearing. Well, there's her name in the text box. Well, not anymore, but anyways. Skyza, what is she on about in regards to him having stolen treasure and thieves on his payroll and all that? Did you work for him before?
I have no idea.
Okay, so we know this. Kilgore was the guy that put us up to stealing the Whisper Hood from Kilgore to begin with, or rather Bosch. And Kilgore seems like an honest man. He shows up as blue on the dragon tier and all that, so at least in regards to that heirloom, he stole that one. As for whether or not Trout stole everything else, we don't know that. We didn't see anything in the basement, but at the same time, there was also that other set of stairs behind the mirror, so... Oh well, not really our problem, is it?
Not really.
Nope.
The sprite reminds me of the Colosseum.
The guy with the red hair and all that, and the fancy suit?
Yeah, I think it was the same sprite.
Yeah. Anyways, when he says he wants to see Bosch, that means you gotta put him in front of the marching order. The game doesn't really tell you this, but Bosch can just be put back in our party again. Don't have to go to Township or anything, just Dragon Statue just zaps them right here. Also, while you're at the statue, do not save, because we're gonna do one last death warp back to Fort Niger after all this is said and done. So, again, you'll save yourself a lot of time in backtracking.
Right, it's unfortunate the game doesn't offer something that's better than that.
I mean, it does, but it's on Jean, who we don't want to use, a secret character who you may never see, and an actually decent character just takes longer to level up and isn't quite good enough to be in my active party at all times. Oh, wait a minute. Does Kilgore have something to say?
Looks like it.
Come on, don't you start, again? Like, he wants us to do it again? Like, we're not gonna do it again, right? I mean, we're gonna turn him down, right, Skyzo?
I imagine we're not going to go along with it.
No! What is wrong with you, Bosch? Like, how many episodes did we spend doing this? Like, 8? Was it 8?
Yeah, that felt a little pointless.
Yeah. When has Bosch ever backed down from a bad idea? When has Ryu ever backed down from a bad idea? When has anyone ever backed down from a bad idea in this game? Just do whatever we want. Also, there's a dialogue choice coming up. You can either let Bosch be the one to steal things all by himself, or you could go with him. You want to go with him, because the game will not force you to make the practical choice, and Bosch is significantly weaker than Ryu. Now, the game designers, they were smart enough to balance the enemies around Bosch, but still, it's a lot faster to have Ryu in your party too, so... make sure you don't just mash through the text, because I think it defaults to good luck. You know what I mean?
Right, that's fair enough.
Yeah, and besides, you want Ryu to get as much experience as possible before... Well... Ah! What the... Oh. Okay, well, auto battle, I guess. Wow, that was sudden.
You know, these guys, they look a lot tougher than they are.
Yeah. I mean, what's the point of that plate mail if you just get creamed like that, right?
Yeah, it's very... Maybe it's a magical-like thing, right? Maybe like a golem.
He certainly has the resources to make something like that, although I think these guys are just... Well, anyways, this place here is a bit special, because every step you take is a 1 in 16 chance of getting an encounter with another one of those guards. It's the one place in the game that doesn't have either a floor or a ceiling to how many steps you can take. If you get really unlucky, you could just get one on all of them. Which, not too big a deal, considering, well, they're kind of weak, but still. Oh no! Someone's coming! Let's run across the room and not go downstairs.
I'm sure that's a smart way to do that.
Well, it allowed us to get inside at any rate, so that's something, I suppose. Still would have liked the stairs, though. Oh, and look, the thieves are here, just as Patty said.
Right, so this place, I guess, doubles as a prison.
It could be the only prison in this town. Didn't see him anywhere else. Also, don't bother trying to talk to that old man. You can if you wait for him to wander next to the bars. But it's just, let me out. Nothing too important.
Can you imagine if you waited for him and then he said something that's like mocking you?
You know what? I think there's actually an NPC like that in the overworld where he's just in an unmarked house and you go into it and he's just like, I've got nothing helpful to tell you, so just leave. In those exact words.
Wow.
Maybe it's just like, I have nothing to say to you, leave. And it's just like, okay.
That's a moody NPC.
Maybe. But at least that way they're having fun with it. By the way, change in tone from the last time Bosch tried to steal. Trout's awful confident considering what he knows about us.
He sure is.
Then again, he is apparently in charge of a whole cavalcade of thieves and cutthroats, so maybe he's just really strong in a fight. By the way, why would he wait until Patty's chained up to give her the deal, work for him or perish? Like, did he not already ask her? And back to this point, I don't know, I don't think she worked for him, but even if she didn't, even if she was willing to work for him, what's keeping her from running away once she's out? I mean, well, it's an interesting thought to consider after this boss fight. So here's Trout. He is a complete joke. He just has an incredibly weak melee attack, dies to like 2 whelps. The only real gimmick to him is that he steals about 10 to 20 zenny every time he's hit, and he does have that protect spell as well, but his base defense is only 10, so it just increases it to 12. Basically nothing. Like, Bosch could actually beat him by himself if he really wanted to, it'd just take a while.
And he can't do any damage, right?
Well, I mean, he can, but it's so pathetic. It's, like, not even worth worrying about. The only way he might threaten you is if Bosch is alone, and you've run out of money. Because if you're out of money, he'll attack twice instead of just stealing 10 or 12. Other than that, don't worry about it.
It's a very bizarre demon that he turned into. It's like a fat Pikachu.
What I like the most is that, did you see how he cast the spell twice?
I mean, the protect spell, the defense raising one.
Yeah?
Well, it doesn't stack. It did nothing for him the second time.
Oh, well, the way I thought spells worked in this game is that kind of like Pokemon, where you have the stages, but I guess not.
Well, I mean, the closest thing to that is that there's a basic defense up spell, which targets one guy, and a defense X spell that targets 4 guys. Those can stack with each other because they're technically separate ailments, but apart from that, no, there's no stacking.
So you can stack different spells, but not the same one.
Right.
But, man, think of all that effort we went to only for it to turn out, hey, the solution was just kill the guy all along.
Yeah, that's a little underwhelming to say the least.
Well, oh well. We got the Whisper Hood, we've got our names cleared, everyone's happy, and hey, we learned to turn into a dragon on the way too, so all's well that ends well.
That's true, and I guess it goes to show how powerful Ryu's dragon form is, that he can two-shot a boss with the dragon spell.
That and it's infinitely replenishable and cuts through defense, so that's what makes it really good. And by the way, is something nasty brewing, Skyzo?
It looks like a...
What the... You recognize these guys, Skyzo?
Yeah, they're all demons, and I imagine that it's gonna link up to like a creator demon.
A bad feeling. They are evil. I can tell by their appearance.
Old translation quotes. This is one of the parts where the old translation gets almost hilariously bad in just how awkward it phrases things.
Yeah, the old translation is just not very good.
And it's not even like this is the worst of the bunch, it's just really poorly timed. A young man's day. The voice of a demon, like a bad dream. The destined child.
You know, that almost sounds like something you'd hear in a trailer.
But yeah, they're not even sentences. They're more like sentence fragments.
And that right there, if you have a good memory, is our hometown, the town of Gate. It's in for a wild ride.
That's right, and I remember this town. I was actually wondering what happened to the monster that we fought, but yeah, it's back.
Yep, it's back. Be very afraid. And you know, the game sort of forgot that it had a plot for a while, but here it is again.
Yeah, well, at least it forgot that it had this big monster, right? And then there's this tonal shift.
Yep, back to happy music.
Yup, just like that.
Oh, Breath of Fire 2. Never change. Oh, sad music now.
So, yet another long dialogue sequence, so let's take the time to talk about Bosch, our new party member. He's one of those unfortunate guys who is almost a good character. He'd probably have some occasional use, were it not for the screwed up way that EXP is distributed. The way that people in your active party get the experience, and the ones left behind get absolutely nothing. Because Bosch is... there are some neat things you can do with him. For starters, he is probably your most capable physical attacker. Once you get him something called the Twin Bow, allows him to attack twice. Fuse him with Sonamo to build up his strength stat a little, because it does start off kind of low. He has trouble doing decent damage. And also give him a turbocharge so that his crit rate is always 37% per attack. Because remember, if you crit on one hit, you will always crit on the second one. And besides that, he's also an awesome white mage. In fact, he learns something called Cure 3 or Vitalize, which heals 120 HP to everyone once he gets to level 33. Our levels are never gonna go that high due to the way I'm playing it, but for most players, they would. So if you weren't cooking biscuits and you missed out on some of the other items, he would be your only way to do AoE healing for attacks like, say, the Terrapin.
Plus he has lots of AP.
That sounds pretty good, right?
Yeah, it does.
So, here's the problem though. First of all, this game isn't really hard enough to need a dedicated healer. Because we do have the biscuits, and because even if we didn't, we have ammonias, which acts as max revives basically, and can stack healing items, we can manage without any of those spells. And physical attacks get progressively less and less useful as the game goes on, unless, well, outside of a few characters, but for the most part, all of your best damage is gonna come from spells and dragons. But the big thing, the really big thing, is that Bosch is the only character in the entire game that is never, ever needed for anything. Well, him and Tapeda. The game tries to make you switch up your party from time to time by giving them abilities that allow you to traverse dungeons, like Sten with the stretchy arms, Lean can smash some rocks, someone later can walk through trees, that sort of thing. So there are guys that you have to bring into your party sometimes, and in addition, Sten and Rand particularly have some brutal solo sections. So those guys are basically a hard requirement for being in your party for most of the game. The only one that's up for debate is the 4th slot, but Lean has that vigor stat and is the only one who can consistently outspeed things, so if you're not getting the secret character, she's basically a shoo-in, because she's the only one
who can consistently outspeed the enemies, which is extremely important for boss fights and some of the more dangerous encounters.
You're just never gonna want to not use her, so because Bosch has all that working against him, and because he's so underleveled, he just never gets a fair shot at things. It's really a bummer.
Well, I'll say that his crit rate seemed very good once you told me, how high it was, but yeah, I can see his problems and why you would not want to use him.
Yeah. It might be one thing if he was at least decently fast, and he is a teensy bit faster than some of the other guys, but again, he just sort of falls into that camp of always going after the enemy rather than before.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, in most RPGs that I've come across, speed is like one of those overimportant stats because you take so much damage and you want to do as much damage as possible.
Indeed. This game especially, if you're playing it well, no fight should ever last more than 2 turns. In fact, after a certain point, most fights shouldn't even last 1 turn. The enemies will get to hit you, but Basically, you should have them mostly mopped up so that when the second round starts, you're able to kill them before they do anything more. So there's just not a place for tanking.
Yeah, pretty much. If there was a character that was a tank, I guess it would be interesting, but this game doesn't have that.
I mean, it has Rand, but he's useful for other reasons. That and the fact that he can wake dead party members up with the wake command, so you're mostly gonna want to use him.
Yeah, he's not made for tanking, that's just one of his qualities.
Oh, he was made for it, it's just not why he's useful.
Yeah, pretty much that's along the lines of what I meant.
Oh, sorry.
Speaking of Rand, there is one correction I would like to make. He actually learns Cure 3 or Vitalize as well, but he learns it at level 35, and he levels slower than almost anyone. So he takes much longer to learn it than Bosch does.
Alright, so let's see what he's got to say about Bosch. And Tapeta while we're here, because I don't think we got Tapeta's mind read, did we?
Nope.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and take care of that now.
So by beating Ryu, he was a suspected criminal rather than an actual criminal. Touching.
Anyways, here's Tapeta. He's about what you'd expect. Daffy, but pure.
I also kind of like the line where fate protects him like it protects fools and small children. And by doing that, he accidentally implied that Tapeta was one of those. Ouch.
You know, on the second line of dialogue, I thought he meant that we should get rid of Tapeta. That would have been even more brutal, I think.
Indeed. But yeah, this guy is also one of your only hints as to what you're supposed to do next. You're supposed to find a whale and swim across the ocean to this place called Melodia, but the game doesn't really tell you to do this, or at least doesn't do a good job of it. And by the way, you want to buy a bamboo rod and deposit your money, another death warp. But yeah, one of the things you're supposed to do, you're supposed to be looking for a grass man. And if you visited the carnival, which moves from place to place just like us, you would find a grass man there. And if you talk to like Sten in party chat, he would tell you that the carnival has moved to Melodia. Melodia is across from the ocean, so through a lot of vague guesswork, process of elimination and all that, you can infer that you're supposed to get a way of traveling across the ocean, along with what the pastor said. But it never spells it out for you, though. Never. At any point. So you could spend a lot of time just wandering around, not even knowing where to go, or heck, if you skipped the circus, you wouldn't even know there's a grass man there. Then you're really up a creek without a paddle.
I feel a little sorry for the kids who, you know, they had this game, but they didn't know what to do. This game, I feel, is a little vague in some places.
Still, we have all the game's good qualities, like for example the excellent battle mechanics and the soundtrack and the graphics and all.
Yeah, I'd still say this is a good game.
Anyways, there ends yet another triumphant episode of Breath of Fire 2. Join me next time to find our way across the ocean. This has been Fiona Day Questers signing out. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and God bless you all.
Alright, I'll see you later, YouTube.
See ya soon!